Nathan, 32, and Ava, 33, had shared almost 7 years together. Their marriage had been calm and reliable, a bond deliberately built without children, a decision they had mutually agreed upon. But lately, things began to shift. Ava started expressing unhappiness, saying she felt stuck in repetition, her world missing the spark it once carried. She even raised the thought of wanting a child, a subject that stunned Nathan. After their long-standing agreement, he tried to be patient, telling her he'd consider it if it truly brought her joy. But after a few brief conversations, Ava brushed it off as nothing serious. Nathan believed her, never realizing it was a sign of something far darker and more damaging. One evening, Ava dropped a revelation that shattered their stable life. She casually announced she had a date. At first, Nathan assumed she was joking, some poorly timed attempt at humor, but her face stayed unchanged, her gaze steady and cold. She explained it was with Eric, a co-worker from the office. She insisted it was harmless, just a way to escape the dullness that was smothering her. When Nathan asked why she would call it a date, her answer cut deep. Transparency, she replied, as if honesty excused the betrayal. She kissed his forehead, then went to get ready. Nathan sat frozen, his thoughts racing, as she picked her crimson dress, the one she reserved for special nights. She moved with a lightness that twisted his chest, a small smile forming as she checked her reflection. She was no longer dressing for him. That truth hit hard. The woman he had cherished and trusted for years was slipping away, and she didn't care. Seeking clarity, Nathan called his closest friend, Kevin. He couldn't admit the full story, so he framed it as if it were another man's problem. Kevin, trying to be kind, said it might be nothing more than a casual meal. But deep inside, Nathan knew the truth. This wasn't an innocent outing. It was the first fracture in their marriage. Ava returned sooner than he expected. Around 9:30 p.m., her lipstick was smeared, her eyes glowing with a tired yet pleased expression. Wrapping her arms around him, she whispered, "It was so thrilling, exactly what I needed." Nathan felt a stabbing ache at her words. Then, as if twisting the knife, Ava mentioned she and Eric had arranged a weekend getaway. Nathan's world felt like it was collapsing, but Ava stayed oblivious, humming softly as she headed to their bedroom. That night, Nathan lay staring at the ceiling, his mind replaying every word, every glance, every warning sign he had ignored. His rage cooled into quiet determination. He wouldn't beg. He wouldn't crumble. If Ava longed for freedom, he would hand it to her, just not the way she imagined. By Saturday afternoon, Nathan had changed the locks. Ava's key would no longer work. He gathered her things, packing them neatly into bags and stacking them in the garage. That evening, he watched from the kitchen window as she filled a suitcase, humming as though nothing had shifted. He recorded her on his phone, capturing her careless, boastful words about how alive she felt. He knew this proof would matter if she later tried to twist the story. When Eric's car pulled up the next morning, Ava, wearing yet another red dress, blew Nathan a kiss before slipping into the passenger seat. He didn't react. He just watched as they drove off, sealing the end of their marriage. When Ava came back Sunday night, she found herself locked out. She banged on the door, her voice shrill as she called his name. Nathan watched on the security feed, her panic a stark contrast to the carefree woman who had left days earlier. At last, he opened the door, her tear-streaked face meeting his steady stare. She tried to rush past him, but he didn't move. Silently, he handed her the video file, evidence of her betrayal and cruelty. Her skin drained of color as she realized the truth. You ended us, Ava, Nathan said. His tone flat, stripped of affection. Now you'll face life on your own. He pointed toward the garage where her bags waited. Her pleas, her efforts to shift the blame onto Eric, meant nothing. He slammed the door, silencing her sobs. For hours, she sat in the driveway, her shadow stretched thin under the dim porch light. Nathan never moved. In the weeks after, the house felt quieter, emptier, yet it was his. Ava had wanted excitement, and she had found it, only not with him. He filed for divorce, sending the papers to her parents' home, the last secure place she had left. Ava refused the ending. She flooded his phone with calls, texts, voicemails, even sending her mother to beg on her behalf. But Nathan had already made his decision. And this time, there would be no turning back. Memories have a way of creeping in when you least expect. I still remember the sound of her carefree laughter while she packed for that trip with Eric. The cold emptiness in her eyes when I pleaded with her not to leave, and the blind certainty she once had in the strength of our marriage. Those scenes replay in my head, each one a sharp reminder of the betrayal that destroyed everything. Ava's choices had burned a bridge I could never cross again. One Thursday afternoon, buried in spreadsheets and reports, I heard voices rising outside my office. My secretary's firm but polite tone was met by a desperate, familiar voice. "Please, let me see him," Ava begged. I stepped into the hallway, and there she was, clutching the divorce papers I had mailed weeks ago. Her face streaked with tears, hair disheveled, the once confident, untouchable woman I knew reduced to a fragile, broken figure. My colleagues turned away, avoiding the scene. I motioned for her to follow me into a private room and shut the door. Leaning against the table, arms folded, I stared at her with an unyielding gaze. "What do you want, Ava?" My tone was harsher than I meant, but I felt no need to soften it. She lifted the papers with shaking hands. "I can't sign these, Nathan. I love you. Please, we can talk. We can fix this." Her voice cracked, her eyes clouded with fear, but I felt nothing. The woman before me wasn't the same person I had shared my life with. She was a stranger. Her regret nothing more than an echo of the vows she had broken. "It was a mistake," she whispered. "I thought it would be thrilling, but it was a nightmare. I was so blind. You're the only one I ever wanted." I clenched my fists, holding back the storm building inside me. "You made this choice, Ava. You played with fire and expected me to pretend it never happened." She reached for my hand, but I stepped away without thinking. I was finished with her, and with the pain she left behind. Without another word, I walked out, her sobs fading behind me. For a while, Ava stopped reaching out. Through mutual friends, I heard she had begun therapy. Perhaps her first true step toward change. But it wasn't enough. I needed closure, a way to force her to face the ruin she had caused. I gathered every message, every receipt, every piece of evidence of her affair with Eric. Not so much for proof, but to make her confront what she had done. I sent it all to her parents' house, a silent statement that I was not the fool she thought I was. The next morning, my phone buzzed with a voicemail. Her voice was faint, shaking with guilt. "I got your package," she said. "I understand now, Nathan. I know what I did. I know I can't undo it. I wanted excitement, but I destroyed what mattered most. I don't expect forgiveness. I just need you to know that I finally see it." I listened twice, a strange calm settling over me. For once, she stopped making excuses, stopped twisting the truth. And in that moment, I felt a small measure of closure. The divorce Went through quietly a few weeks later. No last-minute drama, no desperate protests. She signed without resistance. And moved back with her parents. Remained in the house, my house now, erasing every trace of her. At first, the silence felt heavy, but soon it became peace. Filled my days with the things I had long abandoned, hiking, long hours at the gym, even painting again, a hobby left behind years ago. Kevin, my closest friend, was my anchor, reminding me I was more than the heartbreak I endured. Ava made one final attempt, sending a letter full of apologies and promises of growth. But I didn't reply. Her journey was hers alone, and I was no longer part of it. Seasons passed, and so did I. Wasn't the broken man she left. I had rebuilt myself piece by piece, stronger, sharper, wiser. On a crisp autumn hike, I met Emily. She was warm, easy to laugh with, her smile carrying the quiet promise of better days. It wasn't sudden love, but it was real, built on respect and care, the kind of bond Ava and I never had. Standing at the ridge, wind at my back, sunlight on my face, I realized something important. No matter how deep the fall, you can always rise again. My story was far from over. And, though I couldn't predict the future, with Emily, I knew this: I wasn't the man I once was. Ava made her choice and faced the cost. I chose to rebuild, to move forward, to live free of the shadows of the past.